What is up, guys? This is Basak, and you are watching EnRoute, which is our brand new content segment where we marry culture with business. This show is, as ever, sponsored by the good folks over at Roadmap MBA. Now, we are so excited to have acclaimed director, filmmaker, and executive producer Femi Oyeniran with us here today. Let me tell you, Femi's resume is long. He joins us off the recent launch of his brand new film, Trapping. Femi, hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you. Totally butchered your surname after I just said that I wasn't going to do
You
that.
did. You looked at it and it made you scared. It's
This
oh
is
yay. It's oh yay. That's
oh
it. It's oh
yay.
yay.
Oh yay, Niran. No, I got it.
Yeah, it's like oh yay. You're excited to see me.
I am. You brought the sun out.
Yeah, well,
No, you did.
allegedly.
It's,
Allegedly.
it's blue skies. I'm loving it.
Allegedly.
Now, looking at the work that you've done and the work that you continue to do, there's a real kind of creative pattern that follows throughout your career in terms of the projects that you take on. At this stage, when you get approached for like, oh, I've got this really good idea for something that should be a film, how do you go about deciding the kinds of work you want to get involved with, and kind of what does that discernment process look like for you
I
today?
mean, it's pretty much like taste and passion led. So it
Mhm.
just depends if I'm, and also it depends on what I'm doing at the time. So sometimes I'm just like, you know what, you've got this idea, sounds amazing.
Mm,
I can't help you, but here's someone that can.
mm,
Or you've got this idea, it sounds amazing. Let me read it, let me come back to you. But there's like not really many projects that I've got involved in that are not necessarily mine.
mm.
There's not really that many because I've got loads of ideas of my own. I'm also like a creative person in myself. And also the reason I do what I do is like mainly to be creative and on a secondary basis to do business. I'm not in it just for the business. I'm in it because I'm passionate about the creativity too. And so in a way, you sort of it has to be really, really good for me to like want to do one of your projects and not one of mine.
Mm. And kind of give up that headspace and time and energy.
Yeah, yeah. And also like, like it takes a lot to get something done. So I need to what a new standard that I need to start applying, which I have not applied, is like, do I really want to spend a long time with this person?
Wow. I love that. Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do I like
You know
you?
what I mean? So
Okay.
like if you're a stranger and you come up to me and you're like, I want to do a project with you, like we're gonna have to go through a lot of vetting for us
Mm.
to get to a place where I actually want to do one of your projects. This is new, like, I've not necessarily been applying this standard, but because ultimately it's my time and do I want to spend my time? And also it's your time.
You end up having a baby together, right? That's what it is.
Yeah, and also do I want to be
Do I
like,
want to have a child with you?
yeah, do I want to have a project child with you? No, I don't know if I do.
Yeah. Or maybe I
Or
really
maybe I
want to.
do.
Right. Very exciting, all that. You have been there since the start of a lot of projects, Kidulthood being kind of one of the big ones. Fast forward, and Kidulthood came out in 2006, right? So fast forward to now, looking at the
Mm.
timeline, are you just so proud and excited looking at the stage that kind of Black British film has with TV series like Top Boy and Drake producing and this, that, and the other, kind of that global lens, and that the whole world is now looking at the British filmmaking world with? Does that make you excited that we're now getting the moment that
No, I still feel like we're in our infancy and there's still so much to be done. And
mm,
so in a way, I'm even I feel like I'm just starting. I don't even feel like I've done anything yet. So in a way, I should be excited
mm,
because it's there's a lot more getting done than when I first started. But I'm not excited because I just feel like, oh, we're still in the beginning. There's still so much to do. There's
mm,
still so many things I want to do. And
yeah,
so it's difficult to be super excited.
okay. Can you track the progress though? Can you say, okay, we were here and now we're here? Is that
Yeah,
something?
100%. I feel like, remember, Netflix didn't even exist when we did Kidulthood. So like there's like things that I can't even fathom where we're gonna go next because like you have to remember it was technology that allowed us to be able to go from kidulthood to top boy. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean? So in a way, it's difficult to. I think definitely like it's exciting because there's like there's a acting community. There's like aspirations and being in TV shows and like films and all of these things and like some of these things are very easily achievable, unattainable by
mm,
people. However, you can't get complacent.
yeah, no. The work continues,
Hmm.
which is why we're here today.
That's right.
Yeah. You have been both an actor and a director, executive producer, all these different kind of hats that you wear. How does it feel to hold all of those vantage points in your experience today? And is there a certain alchemy? And that's the word I want to use.
I mean, I don't overthink it. I think that's the main thing. Just don't overthink it. Just do the work at hand. I'm
Mm,
always, I'm about the work. So I just want to get the work done. I don't really care about anything else. It sounds really bizarre. And
mm,
so it depends what I'm doing on the project. So at the moment, I've got a show with Comedy Central. I'm the director and exec producer. And and with that, I'm working on that, and that's what I'm doing. I've been doing alongside with releasing Trapping. And then you've got some like with that show, I could have acted in it, but I was like, no, I don't really want to act in this because already I'm doing so much. And
mm,
so, but I would have loved to act in it, but it was just I could weigh up where we were at, and I was just like, you know what, it's too much. And
mm,
then there's certain things like the Netflix show Turn Up Charlie. I was just a writer on that. That was great to just go on something and be a writer and just soak in the writing process. It's fantastic. There's other things, Trapping. I'm a producer. I'm an exec producer on that. Again, I was just there as those roles. I had a small acting role, but not even because I necessarily wanted to be in it, but I needed someone to play that character, and it was like kind of fitting my age group, and
mm,
so did that character. But there's just different application. I say what I do
mm,
depends on what the project needs.
mm. What do you love doing?
I love doing everything I do.
Yeah,
I love acting the most.
yeah.
Everyone's like, really? Like, you don't even do acting that much. I thought you don't even like. I love acting the most because it's just pure creativity. You don't have to think about business. Like, your agent does your deal, you do your deal, or whatever. Once that deal is done, you just get to act.
You just show up.
Yeah, and you act, and you have to show up though. Showing up is hard.
Mm,
You have to be good. You have to show up, be really good, do what is required of you, and then keep it moving,
mm,
right? And that's challenging. Like people think, oh, it's just easy, just come say some lines or be yourself, say some lines. Acting is challenging. It's a challenging task. But for me,
mm,
acting and writing are very creative. Like they're very much about the creativity. Um, Directing's a little bit, but like you're just a manager. You're managing creative people. You're
mm,
managing the makeup, the hair, the this, the you're a manager, like you're a creative manager.
yeah,
Like you're giving the team a vision and
true.
then you're making sure that the team implements that vision of yours. Like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like management, right? In a creative setting. Production is business, it's accounting and law. And exec producer, you might have to put up some money or raise some money as well. Like, do you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah, yeah.
there's just different roles require different things, but for me, like the purest
Mm,
thing is being creative, and acting and writing are probably the most creative jobs.
mm, mm, mm. And you are a manager when you're doing some of the other production-based things that you've mentioned, but all you're doing is facilitating the space for the creativity to come to life. You're not being the creative, you're protecting the creative, which is beautiful,
Hmm.
necessary.
Hmm.
Someone's got to do it. We see what happens when people don't protect the creatives the way that they need to,
Yeah.
protect it. But yeah, there is something so beautiful about that pure essence and stripping back all of the layers, and you find out something about yourself, I'm sure, by the end of the day, more in acting than in any other space.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all the roles. Like, I just love all the roles because,
Mm,
like I said, sometimes I even get a choice, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm not doing this. But
mm.
yeah, man, you know, what got me in the business is acting. I was excited. I was a kid. I wanted to act. I wanted to show the world what I could do,
Mm.
creative expression, and that was what I did. And so for me,
The
that's
first
it.
love. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very, very cool. Let's talk about trapping. I was at your immersive, very immersive film premiere. It was a night like no other, which is what was promised. So thank you for that. And the film is like no other. From the snippets that I've seen, I haven't seen this whole thing just yet. I will do. Tell me about why you guys decided to kind of explore these characters in the story in such a visceral way. I mean, it was disturbing at times.
I think it was important to us to make this film in the most authentic way possible. Because um, that's the reality of this world, and also every film that we make, we like it to feel real. We like it to feel authentic. And
Mm,
so I remember reading it. It was written by Penny Walcott and Dylan Doffus, and I remember reading it and just thinking, "Wow, this is crazy," and it made me feel something. And I also wanted it to make the audience feel something because I
mm,
felt like if it made me feel something, then it will definitely make the audience feel something, you know. And
mm,
that was important to me. I feel like every film should make people feel, and this film made me feel. So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it," because at the same time, it is like, you know, an uncomfortable watch. It doesn't want to be, the subject matter is uncomfortable, you know, kids going to the countryside to sell drugs, like a kid doing that. That's uncomfortable.
yeah.
And then also the experience of that needed to not apologize for what it was. And so yeah, that's why it was done in that way.
Mm. And maybe we should be uncomfortable by that reality, right?
No, exactly, you know, it's
Right.
not why should you feel comfortable to watch people take drugs,
Yeah. Or
to
have to
watch
say,
people that to watch people that are addicted to drugs take drugs? Why should that be a comfortable thing to watch?
and you know, the one thing that came out of the bits that I did see was, you know, for the young main protagonist, he was trying to get money on the table for his mom.
Yeah, that was important to
And that's
show.
the reality for a lot of people who go into the
Yeah, some people are struggling financially, and some kids always say, you know, I'm doing it for my mum. Like, you know, I'm doing it for,
mm,
and we wanted to show what that looked like. Because
mm,
sometimes they weren't even really doing it for their mum. They were doing it for their
yeah, for the
ego.
chain. Yeah,
They were
yeah,
doing it for the money. They're doing it for the chain. They're doing it for trainers. They're doing it for, like, you know, all
because
of
they're
that.
kids. So they want these
Yeah.
things. Yeah,
But also we wanted to show, like, you know, what it could look like if what that doing it for mum looks like.
yeah. I mean, on that note, and when I read this, I was really happily kind of amazed. Yourself and a whole kind of wider coalition of activists are currently calling on the government to launch a creative grant scheme to help young people so that they have more options outside of gangs in real life, right? Could you
Hmm.
speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, like, you know, young people now, unless you're able to go to your parents are able to fund after school clubs,
Mm,
there's nothing to do outside of school that is not expensive. And the idea is that, you know, there's a grant, like, you know, the government gives out a grant to these young people to be able to, you know, have youth clubs or to apply for funding to do stuff outside of school and stuff like that. And so that's what we want.
mm. Ezra Collective in their recent win spoke on this actually. I thought it was a really nice tie-in to the importance of, again, safe spaces for young people.
Yeah, I mean, what Ezra Collective, there, I love those guys, man. They're dope. But at the same time, I think, yeah, that's what we benefit. That's what I benefited from to get into creativity. I had drama school,
Mm,
outside of school that was free. Like, you know, my parents weren't gonna pay. Well, I'm sure they could have, or they might have tried, but
mm,
it wasn't their priority. It wasn't definitely not on their priority list to pay for me to go into acting class. So for me, I benefited from, like, you know, from that, like, being able to do acting every week after school on a Monday or Tuesday or something, like for free,
Mm.
like like for free, because and it was up to a high level. We did performances in theaters, and it wasn't like we were doing it at a low level. And there were loads of us that benefited from that funding that was given to us as young people to be able to do that.
And as a young kid, that kind of just stimulus can be life-changing.
No,
Broadens
for
our
sure.
horizon
And
and
also it meant that I was even outside of being that, it meant that I was able to like explore new spaces as a kid. And it meant that I was able to make friends outside of my school in my area as a kid. There was just so many benefits to
Mm,
that for me
mm,
that, in a way, I don't see why that doesn't exist for young people anymore unless their parents are rich, which is
yeah,
unfair.
completely agree. On the subject of money, let's talk about your role as executive producer in this film. How does the kind of funding for films of this nature kind of work? And what does an executive producer mean for those that are
An
listening?
executive producer, some executive producers on this project just gave us money towards the project.
Mhm.
In my position, I was responsible for kind of harnessing the role of exec producer and producer, right? So raising the money,
Mhm.
making the connections, and making sure that that money was managed well so that we could achieve what we set out to achieve.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was it, really. It's like, I was able to delve into my network, raise funding, and then on top of that, I was able to get other people to do that. And I was connected through people like Penny,
Mhm.
like also got some of her friends involved, and like loads of different people got their team and their friends involved, and I was able to pitch them what our proposition was, raise money that way, and then make the film.
Is the budget you had in mind the budget you ended with, or does it always inflate to another
It,
level?
al- it always moves, but not if you're a good producer or exec producer, it doesn't inflate to a crazy level.
Okay.
But it's it always like there's always unanticipated things. It's hard to come in on a low budget British movie or something like that. Because we're working at such a tightrope, it's
Mm.
hard to come in way under budget or like way over budget because it's somewhere in between. Because where we gonna? I can't go back to my investors and say, "Oh yeah, I need triple the money I asked you for." It's not. It's not like I'm working for a studio who has a bottomless pool of money.
Yeah.
Because if I was working at a studio, it's a completely different approach to producing. Like when I make TV shows, so I'm making a TV show for Comedy Central at the moment,
Yeah.
and if things go over budget, I go back to the channel and say, "We've gone over budget here.
We are where we are, right?
Can we
Sorry.
have more? Can we have more money?" Basically, most of the time is like, "Can we have more money?" But if with what I like to say is that TV is more like running a business because you can always go to your funders and blah blah blah. And film is more like being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, small business owner. That's what you are.
Yeah, film is like being a small business owner, and TV is like running a business, like an established, more like established business.
Legacy media.
Yeah, you could just go to your funders, be like, "Hi, boss, we've sort of run out of money. Can you give us more?"
Uh,
Whereas film is like, you make the most of what you have.
I mean, the film is out, right? I've seen the billboards all around Old Street and around East and all the other places that I've.
Yeah,
How does that feel now that you've done the slow slog and made the difficult calls and you know got to this point? Are you do you take the moment? Something tells me you don't take the moment.
I don't take the moment. I don't know what my problem is,
I can
because
tell.
I'm always chasing the next thing, right?
Yeah,
So I woke up the next day, I was back on like the Comedy Central show,
yeah.
and because you know what it is, no matter what, whether it's successful, whether it's a failure, it doesn't matter.
Mm.
Nothing matters. You just have to keep going.
Expand on that.
So basically,
Yeah.
you're only as good as your last job. But once you do your last job, what's your next job?
Yeah.
I remember doing Kidulthood and people were like, oh my gosh, what are you doing next? I didn't know what I was doing next. I was like some kids that I didn't even know about acting. But people kept saying, what's next? What's next? And so for me, I'm always like, if you ask me what's next, now I'm like, oh yeah, I've got a Comedy Central show coming up.
Yeah.
There's always something next. I have to make sure, my role is to make sure there's something next. Otherwise, when you ask me what's next and I have nothing next, that gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
But sit in the moment in between, right? Because otherwise, it's kind of like birthdays, if I may, right? You don't celebrate your birthday when you go around the sun. It's just another day. And you have nothing to time mark your footsteps on this earth. And that matters to do that. So with project,
no,
big
you're
and
right.
small, I'm the worst at it as well. So over the years, I've had to be very good at kind of going, okay, cool. Don't jump from podcast to podcast or interview to interview and stop trying to collect people like Pikachus. Just be present.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's important. I think I definitely need to allow more room for mindfulness after projects. I suppose I'm doing that now. I'm trying to do that with this project, like to really like reflect on what the next steps are. And sometimes I do go away
Yeah.
because it's like a definite break. So I might be going away next week, go away, come back, and going away is like the project's over.
Yeah.
And then you come back and then
Like
you
summer
try to,
holidays. Take a
yeah,
minute. Take a
yeah,
beat.
I'm like a kid, right? Like a kid. I need half term or summer holidays or something.
I love it. I love it. Now, for any young people listening in who maybe kind of really would like to get into the creative industries and don't know how to kind of launch in, do you have any advice for filmmakers specifically?
I would say make films, make as many films as you can.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say that is that if you want to get muscles, you just have to go to the gym all the time. You have to eat the right food, you have to have the right diet. But actually, if you want to get big and muscly, you have to train. And so I would say, look at film as that. If
Mm-hmm.
you want to make films,
Make
you
films.
have to you have to train. And that training comes from practicing, and that practice comes from making films. So I would just say make as many films as you could, regardless of budget. Do you know what's mad?
Yeah,
Audiences don't care what your budgets are.
I agree.
No one goes and watches a film. The thing is, a Beyonce budget for a Beyonce album is not the same budget as for, I
Joe
don't know, some
blogs.
other artist pick.
Yeah, Joe blogs. Let's be kind.
But yeah, exactly, Joe Blogs, right?
Yeah.
And so Joe Bloggs' album, when I listen to it, I'm not thinking, ooh, this sounds like less budget than Beyonce's album.
Yeah. You
I'm
know
just
it's
thinking,
less, but you also know it's less and you're cool with it.
yeah, but you don't think of like people don't consume creativity through the prism of
Mm,
budget. Like it only shows when Marvel's got all the special effects and you don't, or Beyonce's got like she's
transition.
flying at a concert.
Yeah.
Literally, she's floating in the air, and she literally was. Like, I was at the concert. She's literally floating in the air, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. They've got budget here. Like,
Yeah.
but ultimately, most people just consume whether they
Mm,
have a good time or not through the prism of that. So I just say, make the best quality stuff that you can on your budget, but at the
mm.
same time, just like if you focus on telling really good stories, people are not watching for like, oh, I wonder how much money they spent on that.
And also, what I always say is that budget is not indicative to good product. There are sort of rappers I can name that I won't name, but there's sort of rappers that I name that I think their output, their authentic output, has gotten visibly worse because they
Mm,
have more money, because they've lost connection to the source of what I call the source of creativity, because they're so
mm,
blinded by so many other things they can't quite have that conversation with themselves, let alone with the masses, as one of my
I agree.
it's like the higher you go up that kind of, I go back and I listen to his old stuff. I don't care about 2023 because there's something in the old unevolved version of him that is actually more authentic to me or resonates.
Mm,
So it's not always, money isn't the answer, even knowing how to spend it is important, where to put the money is important, but actually I think something else that you just said, which is putting in the work and showing up for the craft, that is what Beyonce does. She has all the money in the world, but she's also got all the
Does
hours.
the work, yeah. She does the work.
Air miles, that's what we call them in my industry.
I love it.
Very cool. For you, as a man of many talents, then, which of your own three, and I want adjectives, three character attributes of your own can you look at if we take a pause and reflection together to say that, like, cool, these are the ones that I relied on to succeed in this industry?
I'm very hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
I think I should work smarter though. I think I just work hard. I believe in hard work and
Yeah,
like, but I think I could be more strategic in the way I work.
sure.
Um, so I think it's good to be hardworking
With
because
the
it's got me to where I am. But I think I could be more. I could work smart, not hard.
okay,
That
that's
would. So yeah, there's one, and then
with a caveat.
yeah, no, everything has a caveat. Everything's. I think I'm also I try to say yes as much as possible
Mm,
because again, you should wield the power to say no, but I say yes a lot. I'm very easy, like, if there's something, if there's no obstacle to me doing something, I'll just say yeah. Like you asked me to do this, I was like, yeah, cool.
mm,
I'm just very much I try to say yes as much as possible. And then also I have like a very strong network of people,
yeah,
right? And maybe that comes from me saying yes a lot.
yeah. And showing up for your people.
Yeah, I show up for people a lot, right? So I have a strong network of not just industry people, just normal people. Like, there's like I mean, there's a guy at a food spot that I used to go to in Soho,
Yeah,
right? When I was editing a show called The Evolution of Black British Music, and I went there for lunch every single day because I was editing this show.
yeah,
Like his name's Mo. That's my friend. Like I've got his number. Like
yeah.
I've taken him out to Shoreditch House. But he just works at the food spot. Like he works in the kitchen. Like do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Like,
And actually, can I just say that show you just mentioned did win an NTS? So
no, no, RTS.
RTS, props to you.
Yeah, yeah. But
Very,
yeah, but the point is like, that man messaged me the other day, Femi, how are you? I've not seen you in a long time. But that's a regular man. Like that's a man that works in a shop in Soho
mm,
that because I've engaged with him and we've engaged with each other, that's my guy. Like
mm.
and and that's
And now
important.
he's your community.
Yeah, and that's how we build community. Like, and I forgot what country Mo's from. Mo's Egyptian, I think. But the point is, like, this is someone that
Yeah,
just works at a shop like that. But because I come in the shop, like, I'm not just coming there consuming their service. I'm like, I engage with the people.
yeah.
So I think it's very important to have like real authentic relationships
Mm,
with
mm,
real people and not just to take.
mm.
Even if it's like they are giving you a service, even if they are just a worker at a shop, like they're human too. And I try to humanize them. And I remember my friend, if I could add one more, my friend one day was like, Femi, so interesting. Have you ever worked in a shop before? I said to him, no. He said, I've noticed every time we go in a shop, you talk to the people, you ask how they're doing, like you
Yeah,
really try to speak to them and engage with them. And he said, I used to work in a shop and like I used to hate when people just spoke to me like I was a machine.
yeah.
And so like that's why I asked you, have you worked in a shop before? Because like the way you engage with them,
Do you know
it's
what it's
like,
like?
yeah, it's like you know what it's like. I'm like, no, I don't know. It's like
Treat people nice.
I just like people.
Yeah, beautiful. If I might add one thing to the list that you've given me, for the little that I do know of you, I think you also follow your nose, and I think that's a really nice trait to have. But you do it quietly. You're quietly curious.
No, I think it's important to be curious, man. That's what we have to be as storytellers.
Mm,
Like, I was out at a friend's birthday on Friday or Saturday. Friday it was, And then there was a lady, she's like, I work at the NHS. I'm like, but what do you do at the NHS? Yeah, but what is that?
Yeah.
But why? Like, and
Yeah.
she was just thinking, like, why is this guy asking me all these questions? Like,
Really? Yeah.
yeah, because but I'm like, I really want to know. Like, I really want to know because I might get a script that's about your type of character.
Mm.
And now, or I might want to write a character like you based in something. And now I've got more references to draw on when I'm creating that character.
You're my
There's just so
reference
many
point.
reasons. Yeah, there's so many reasons I want to know. I want to meet loads of people. I want to go to loads of places. I want
Mhm.
to experience as much as I can, just because that's how I can be a better creative, and also I can not only be a better creative,
Mhm.
I also then develop a better understanding of the world around me.
Or a truer representation of it, right? You've actually spoken to an NHS nurse. Maybe she's told you about her lunch break. Maybe
Yeah,
she hates the canteen food.
yeah.
You can reflect that in the story you're telling, or
Yeah, there's intricacies, there's intricacies that I want to know. Like, this woman even she was like, I can't remember what she said she did. And she was like, sometimes I have to deliver, I have to tell people like, they do disease track. She does disease tracking. And so these people do tests and she has to tell them sometimes whether they should have a child or not. I was like, that's heavy.
how do
But
you
do you
do?
get my point?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
She's like, but I'm at a party. I don't want to talk about that. I'm like, I'm really sorry. I was just like, but I got her there. We got there.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got to talking about that there.
yeah. It matters. It matters to be curious, and it matters to hold space for people outside of what they can do for you and outside of the creative industry. Because sometimes I speak to creative people and they're not very real. They're not here. They're up there.
Yeah, they're very much. You know what? Creative people, to be honest, are sometimes consumed by their dreams.
Mm,
They're so consumed by their dreams that they've got no time for anyone else's dreams,
mm,
anyone else's vision, and
mm,
also they're so consumed by their dreams that they've got they don't acknowledge anyone else. And
mm,
so they're so, I don't know, man. I don't want to say like creative people are like, oh, they're bougie or whatever, or like they're just into themselves and all of that. But it's like it's important to dream,
mm.
but sometimes
They're
they dream,
intense. They're
yeah,
intense.
they dream too selfishly.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no one else. There's no space for anybody else in
Yeah,
that.
they dream too selfishly. I think
Yeah.
that's the way to describe it.
What's what's the next dream for you?
Ooh. The next dream weirdly is for me to like make a project in the US. That
Mm-hmm.
is a that has been my dream all year.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a few deals on the table, and now that the strikes are over, God willing, I'll be able to achieve that dream.
Wonderful. Where can we find you, Femi?
I am on apparently I'm on TikTok, but I'm not. I am on
Do it,
TikTok.
do it, do
I
it.
am on TikTok, but I don't use it. I don't use it that much. That's funny. I said I'm on TikTok. I am on TikTok. I'm still trying not to be addicted to TikTok because every time I go on TikTok, it has stuff that I really want to consume. So I'm trying to manage my usage of it.
I
But I'm
got
on Instagram heavy. It's just my name. I'm on X. So what do you like? We used to have a tweet. What's an X?
I call it Twitter. I ignore that bad. I don't care.
But do you get my point? What's an
Yeah,
X?
yeah, yeah. X
A
is
tweet.
being confused. That's he's
Oh
confused.
yeah, because a tweet is still a tweet, right?
The tweet. X sounds like something else. I'm not
I
everyone.
sent an X post. It's just not as cool.
Nope.
I mean, that is really interesting. Twitter is the only one that had a verb. Is it a verb to
Yeah.
tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah, to tweet. Whereas like you do an Instagram post, a Facebook post.
Yeah.
No, maybe a TikTok.
I TikToked.
No, you send a
Oh,
snap. You can send a
I
snap.
snapped. I snapped.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
about.
So
Yeah.
you can send a snap.
Send a snap.
But tweet is the one that is like it's kind of powerful, isn't it?
Also, if you look at the symbolism of a tweet, it's bad. It's a bad house. Tweeting is speaking. It's a speech only platform originally.
Yeah,
There was a whole thing they did there. you know.
It's kind of genius, but now it's an X. But anyway, I'm on X. I'm on Instagram heavy. And you can find me, send me any questions, like anything that you need. I'm here.
Femi, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you on.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I've really enjoyed it. And you know, sometimes you have conversations with people and you don't know how it's gonna go. And it's always very, I think in these conversations, in articulating myself and what I do, I learn a lot about myself too. So thank you for that.
Mm. Sometimes you need a complete stranger to come and soundboard your life for you.
Yeah, and you sort of like bounce. I had an interview the other day, and the lady was like, I'm a therapist, I'm a real life therapist. I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa, this is deep.